All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am so happy to be here with you today. We had some waka waka to get ourselves in the mood. It's the World Cup right now. I'm very happy to be here with you. My name is Karen Amaya. I already got the introduction, but I'm very particular with my name. So it's Karen with an E, K-E-R-E-N. Now I'm thrilled to be on this mission to help you master your communications and public speaking skills so you can become the most effective and influential communicators. And, very importantly, I get to do this right after lunchtime. Because of course I love a good challenge or opportunity, depending on how you want to see it. I can already feel the amazing energy in this room. I can tell you're going to be a great audience, so give yourself an applause, please. Thank you. So who's this woman that's here talking a lot of things? I already got a nice introduction for the safety and security, but I am not wearing that hat today. I wear many other hats, as I'm sure many of you do, but today I am here wearing my international speaker hat, my communication one. And so to start, before we start, I would like to tell you a story. And this story is about my biggest, or one of my biggest communications failure. Not success, but failure. So I want you to think back maybe over a decade ago. I was only starting to grow my career, and I had been recently been appointed as the HSSEQ coordinator. And I had this whole alphabet in my job title, as you could hear. This was in a port facility in Cartagena, Colombia. Maybe some of you have heard or have been to this city. It's very beautiful, but it's also very, very hot and humid. So there I am. I'm coming back to the office. It's noon. I come from a field inspection, and I'm all sweaty, and I'm wearing a white shirt. Oh, you want to imagine the mess. I'm so hungry. I want to go get lunch, but maybe I should finish some emails. You know, you're so eager. You're new at the job. No, maybe I go get lunch. Oh, and life had other plans for me. So here comes Country Director Colombia. She opens the door. Boom. Karen, we need you to come right now and deliver the health and safety briefing for this very important potential client we have. They're visiting us right now. So come. And I just stand there thinking, what am I going to do? I was in shock. What am I going to say? I don't know anything about this place. So I'm thinking. She just looks at me and, what are you waiting for? Come on, let's go, let's go. So we start walking to that meeting room, and I start sweating more at this point. And I walk in there, okay, let me find the slides, let me find the presentation, and of course it's not working, it's not downloading, that file is not downloading. What do? Everybody's looking at me, they're waiting, time is on. So, hello everybody. Welcome to our terminal. And the things you want to consider, oh my God, when I think back to this moment, I can still feel the nervousness, my shaky hands, and how I was unable to emit a confident sound out of me. It was terrible. And I just have to say, it went downhill from there. This is not one of those stories where I tell you, oh, I got magically enlightened and God told me exactly what to say. No. This was disaster 2.0. It was really, really, really bad. And I left that room feeling so defeated. And I got very bad feedback after that. We didn't even get the client in the end. But the worst thing was not that. I honestly thought I was going to get fired. And it doesn't stop there, because then I started thinking, it's so frustrating, because I knew I was capable of so much more. So that day, I made a decision. I said, I cannot let this happen again. I was determined to up my game. So, who here has been in that situation? Raise your hand if you've ever been in a situation where you were not able to communicate well. Your mind completely froze and decided to take a break in that moment. Yes? That time where you were not confident and you could not have a confident voice. The time where you were not convincing enough, or maybe you even felt less than others. Who here has been in that situation? Yes, you've all been there at some point. But what if I told you, you don't have to wait to make such mistakes again, or ever really, for you to master those speaking and communication skills? What if you could just step into this, where you could go meet your audience where they're at, and you bring them to where you want them to be? Imagine that you could be so influential with your words and your message that you can get your audience to feel as you want them to feel and to get them to do as you want them to do. And that, my dears, is what I am here to show you today. Because I firmly believe no matter where you're at in your communications journey right now, it is absolutely possible for all of you to do this. So who here wants to learn this? Yes, beautiful, amazing. So what are we going to be going through today? We will be learning to get people to listen, and this through the physics of presence. We will also be learning how to get people to connect and care through storytelling, for influence. And we will be learning how to get people to act, and this we will be doing when we communicate under pressure. Sounds exciting, right? Yeah. Give me some energy. Come on, people. Yeah. All right. You got fed. You need to have energy. Okay. So first things first. How do we get people to listen? Because of course, before I can get people to care, I want them to listen to me. We do that through the physics of presence. So we want to incorporate our body and our voice in the delivery of our message. Here, I will bring 5 elements for you to keep in mind. Those 5 tools. First is your rate or speed of speech. Second, it will be your volume. Third, your tonality. Fourth, the pause. And fifth, your body language. Okay? There's plenty more tools that we can use, but for the sake of time, we will focus in these 5. Also, I don't want to overwhelm you because there's a lot of things, but then you want to cover everything and you end up doing nothing. Okay. Rate. So for rate, this is fairly intuitive. Rate, we think of fast and slow and anything in between. So we want to play with the speed at which we speak. Why do we want to do that? Our brains are wired to predict. This is how we work. So the mind is a powerful technology. If you talk like this all the time, if you talk really fast and you don't give people a break for them to process your thoughts, what's going to happen? You are a monologue and eventually you're going to lose them. If you talk like this all the time, people will probably start yawning and fall asleep. So you want to vary. Okay? Vary. Next is the volume. Volume means we want to be as big as the room. The volume I am using to talk to you right now might not be the same when I'm having a one-on-one conversation. That would be kind of strange. So think of volume. Consider a scale from 0 to 10. And we want to try to be on a 6, maybe even 5. And I know this is a struggle for a lot of people who tell me, I feel like I'm yelling at others if I do this. But actually, this tends to be an internal belief that you can change. In fact, I can assure you, if you started asking people around, hey, how high do you think I talk? Do you think I speak too loud? You might be surprised to know that it's quite the opposite. So I suggest you start doing that. Why do we want to do this? Because volume is often associated to confidence. So if you talk like this all the time, people might think that you're insecure or you're afraid, even if you're not. And if you talk like this all the time, then you might come out as intense and aggressive. We don't want that either. So we want to learn how to read the room and play with these elements. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Tonality. Tonality is the emotion underneath your voice. So we don't want to just plainly report. At times we listen to things There's no emotion behind it. We want to bring that into the message we share. Now, Dr. Paul Ekman developed this theory where he said there were 7 transversal emotions to any culture in the world, and it most likely will work. You want to incorporate them in what you're saying. And this will eventually become very natural for you. Just have to start practicing more. And now, I would like to introduce to you the power of the pause. Yes. So did you notice what just happened there? Were you kind of waiting what she's going to do, or did she forget what she was going to say? You will not know. That only I know. So why is the pause so important? The pause helps us create authority. This is almost immediate. But not only that, the pause gives us thinking time. Now, there's a general belief that I have to answer immediately, or I have to keep going and talking endlessly, because people will think I don't know what I'm talking about. But that's not true. Again, when we talked about volume, I said it, it's the same here. It's an internal belief, it's a conception you have, but that's not true. Also, the more comfortable you get with these moments of silence and not saying anything, you will notice how the amount of filler words and non-words you use reduces. So the ums and us and so, like, all of these things we start using because we are not comfortable with the moments of silence. The more you incorporate it, you will realize, wow, I've reduced that number a lot. And the pause improves breathing. Because if you keep talking like this nonstop, and on top of that you do a high rate speed, then eventually you're going to start losing your volume, and eventually you're going to lose your air. Now that was a bit exaggerated, but you do get my point. So what do we want to do? Pause. We pause, exactly. And that applies to so many things in life as well. And when we talk about body language, I have 3 considerations here, because we all love 3. 3 steps, 3 hacks, 3 this, 3 that. So here is the same. I want us to think of posture, grounding, and your power sphere. When it comes to posture, you want to have a straight back, open chest, and your shoulders back, until the point that's comfortable, of course. You want to have visible hands, so no hands here, no hands here, whatever, they're moving all over the place with no control. No, but I do want them visible. That helps with trust, building trust with the audience. And I also want eye contact. Depending on the audience, that will be the eye contact you make, of course. So it's not the same I'm doing here as I would do on a one-on-one, or maybe in a meeting room, okay? And when it comes to grounding, so you want to be grounded and stable. Normally, your feet at the width of your hips, and we tend to measure that incorrectly, but you want to find that place where you feel stable. You don't want to be swinging. This is not a dance. You don't want to be walking here and there as you talk, because this will distract your audience from the delivery of your message. So if there's no specific reason for you to do it, it's better not to be moving around, okay? And your power sphere, which is anything from your belly button around this area to your eyes. So you want to maneuver here. Take your space, own it. I was gonna say own it, girl, but I see quite a few gentlemen in this room, so everyone just own it, all right? Beautiful. And what is life without taking things into practice? So I'd like for us to practice an element of this now. What I want you to do is find a partner in your table, wherever you want, and I want for you to read together this phrase. This changes everything. But you're not going to read it the way I just said it. We will do it under different emotions. So find a partner, please. We'll do this really quick. Stand up from your seats. Stand up from your seats. Use your body. Yes. So listen, everybody. Can you read the phrase, being very happy? They're happy. emotions going on in this room. And isn't it beautiful? Did you notice how it was the same message, it was the same word, but because of the emotions you put into it, the meaning changed completely, didn't it? Yes. Also, for those of you that stood up from your chairs, from your seats, you were able to put more of your body into the message as well. And this will also help us deliver in a better way when we incorporate it. For all of these things that I shared, these 5 elements, and everything else that we will be going through today, my advice is that you start putting these things into practice in safe environments, in smaller environments. However, what we call safe environment can also have a little tweak. So you think, oh, I'm going to start doing this with my beloved ones, with my family. I actually suggest quite the opposite. Why is that? People are used to a version of ourselves, the people that we care for, the people that are near us. And they might not like or even approve this version of us. So this can discourage us from changing. And just like anything in life, when you've built habits and you've made them become part of you, you can absolutely take it to a different place. It will take practice. So how about next time you go buy yourself a coffee, you approach it with these concepts we've shared. How about when you go on an Uber ride, you speak to that person in a different way, using your voice differently, your tonality, your pitch, the way you speak. Maybe you speak too fast, you speak slower, or maybe you speak too slow, you will incorporate more speed, more rate. How about you do that? How about when you call your bank's customer service? Oh, I bet they can take this new version of you. Yeah. Oh, I know for sure. I've lived it myself. But anyways, I don't want to get into those details. So, same words, different emotions. Same message, different delivery. Because we don't only want to make our message sound important, we want it to be impossible to ignore. And we start doing that, in this case, with our voice and our body. Okay, let's go to our second section. And that is one I absolutely love, which is storytelling for influence. I know some people are having a look at my matcha there. I am a matcha lover. I don't care if people say it tastes like grass. That's what storytelling, it evokes storytelling. I'm from Colombia. I'm supposed to like coffee, but no. So you coffee lovers, you make your own picture, but it's mine. So anyways, storytelling for influence. Facts inform. We know that. And if you have a very technical field and expertise, you know for sure. However, stories influence. And we want to connect our story to the audience. How do we do that? Guess what? We have 3 elements to do this, and we're going to break those down. First things first, the stories are already there. You don't need better stories. You don't need to make up stories. You just need to start documenting your stories and learn how to tell them in a better way. In fact, I can assure you that your best and most powerful stories are from those moments that you'd probably rather forget. Those are the best stories you can use. Okay, what are those elements? Guess how many elements I'm bringing for this?
3.
Of course, 3 elements. And for this, I absolutely love Bing Guiang's approach. He's a communications and coach and expert. So not only coach, yeah, expert. And he brings these 3 elements. So what is a good story and a good storytelling made of? First is the incident. Second, we want to give a reason for us sharing the story. And third is the linking. So why would people care? Okay. So for the incident, guess how many elements I'm bringing?
3.
3, yes. So it's 3 sub-elements to the incident. We want to tell people the what happened. So what happened involves what, who, when, where, more details so it's easier for people to understand the story. But we don't just want to stay there. Maybe who here remembers what city was the story I shared at first in? Cartagena, exactly, Colombia. Even if you've never heard of it. Do you remember what color my shirt was?
White.
It was white, yes. And you probably remember because I incorporated the second sub-element, which is the VCOG. And this is something that comes from NLP. And what does it stand for? Visual, auditory, kinesthetics, olfactory, and gustatory. And forgive my pronunciation if that's not the one, but I had my issues with those two final words. I know the concept, but oh my God, that pronunciation is so difficult. This is my second language, by the way, so. Anyways, this will make your story be more sticky, so it sticks with you. Maybe it was that I told you that the city is hot and humid. I was describing that I was sweating as I was going through this moment. So it helps you bring to reality. It helps your imagination. And so it stays with you. And we also want to bring the characters to life. So that's the third element. How do we bring the characters of our story to life? We do that with dialogue. So do you remember what person was that came in and I talked to? Or you don't remember that? So I was the country director who came and said, we need you to come and do the briefing for us. And we also want to incorporate body language. I'm walking back from a field inspection. I'm sweaty. You see how I'm moving my arms? I'm gonna write some emails. I'm trying to download the slides, but it won't work. We're walking to the meeting room, and so on and so forth. You find your style. What is it that you would do? But because the story is real, so when you think of it, it's quite easy to impersonate this. As many gestures and body language as you can incorporate, guess what? It will keep being even more sticky, so people will remember. And that brings me to the second big element of storytelling, which is, okay, so we've made it sticky, but why are you telling me this? Why is this story relevant, really? And this is often where a lot of professionals fail. I'm not saying that every time you share a story, you need to have a point. You can share a story just for the sake of it, ideally in informal settings, or your family, or your friends, or wherever. But when we're in a professional environment, and we want to use storytelling to engage with the audience, then we want to give them a reason. Why am I investing my time listening to your story? Go to therapy. Yes, but if I give you a reason, now you understand why your resources invested in this listening to my story matters. There are different ways you can do this. The easiest one is you can say, and the reason I'm telling you this, or I'm sharing this because, it's very obvious why you're doing it. You can also do it through more indirect transitions. In my case, when I told you the story, I asked you a question that was a relatability question, and then I started making my point that I wanted to make about that failure in communication. So you need to, again, find your style, what works for you. If you don't feel comfortable with the more indirect ways, just say it. I'm telling you this because it's very easy and it does wonders. And then we go to our third big element, which is the linking. So I've told you why you've listened to my story, as I also told you what happened. Now I need to bring insights to you, learning. Okay, so I can make this story now about you and not about me. So people can feel they own the story, they're related to it. It is relatable. So in my case, the story I shared, I associated with emotions of frustration. It could be about failure, but also determination, learning from mistakes, and the list can go on and on. So every time you have a story, you think, oh, this is a good story, you're gonna start writing, what association do you have to that story? I would like for you to, guess what? What are we going to do now? Practice. We're going to practice, yes. So we're gonna do this exercise. I would like for you to, again, find a partner, but you're gonna stand up from your chairs. Don't be lazy, come on, get up. And you're gonna get your partner. You're gonna work in pairs. that were shared. Am I right? Yeah. Were you sharing nice stories? Yes? I'd like to hear from a couple of people. What did you find the most interesting about your partner's story that you worked with? Very briefly. You go ahead.
I didn't realize how much of a runner and marathon person she was, and it's been my lifelong goal, of course, not right now with my move, but a lifelong goal to do a marathon. And I've known her, but I didn't even know she'd done the marathon. So it was this whole personal connection that we, on top of our own personal connection, that
yes.
And she didn't know that about me.
That's cool.
So it was definitely a personal connection there.
That's very nice. I think I remember you. You were the one that asked the question, what motivates you? I remember you. Yeah, you're on my team, girl. Yeah, you go. Nice. So it was relatable,
yes,
right?
Very much so.
Yes. Anybody else wants to share?
Our story was pretty interesting. We both came from.
Can you hear? Can you hear her in the back? Maybe we want to use the mic.
I said
Go and do it, girl. You go. Handsome. Yeah. Give her
I can talk about it.
You can talk to the room. Yes.
I can
Okay.
talk to the room. Okay, so what we realized is we both came from different industries, and when we did our job interviews or our first few days on the job, our industries taught us stuff that wasn't in the industry that we were going into. Procedures, having much more things to look at and to deal with. So it kind of made us both really good at what we do, coming in to like the new industries that we came in. So we found that very interesting.
That's awesome.
Nice. Give her an applause, please. She was not expecting to be put on the spot. And I have a third person, and that's the last one I'm taking now. Go ahead.
So my partner Sana.
Can you stand up? Yes.
My partner Sana was sharing a story about using a pause in a meeting and losing her thought during the pause. And it really resonated, and I didn't pay attention to how often it happens where you're pausing to allow folks to process, but then you forget where you're going, and the conversation goes in a completely different direction. So it was very relatable.
We will have a Q&As, and that's a very good question I normally get, so hold that thought for me. Don't let it go. If that happens, before that happens, write it down. I want to hear that question. It's a very good question. But notice how in everything you've shared, I didn't hear anybody say, oh, they followed the perfect storytelling structure. Oh, the BCOG element. No, I didn't hear any of that. It felt human. It felt relatable. And so that's what we want to do when we do our storytelling. And it will help us influence people because they will connect, they will care, and they will want to be normally more responsive in helping us in the way that we want it. All right? Wonderful. Now we're going to that dreaded moment. Oh, the moment most, if not all people fear. That is communicating under pressure. That unexpected question. The difficult question. The hostile question, even. And what do I do? Well, you gotta go give this briefing right now. Oh, what do I do? And this could be, you could be in a boardroom. This could be a key customer negotiation. This could be a large audience. You could be in a Q&A session. Maybe in your role, you end up in a press conference. You never know, okay? And what do I do? What if my mind goes blank? I don't want to ramble. So what do I do? Do I go drink water? Maybe, and wander off a bit? So what if my brain decided to take a break, and I completely forgot, and you don't know that, and you think I'm drinking water? But maybe I did forget. Or maybe not. You will never know. And this is just to say, we have these thoughts and movies in our mind that we play. People don't know. Everybody's in their own thing. Everybody is in their head. So, what is the invitation? Here I'm going to bring the expertise by Professor Matt Abrahams from Stanford University, another amazing coach and expert for communication. The first invitation he has is, how about we approach communication as a conversation, not performance? Why is this important? So here I'm having a conversation with you, and I don't know about you, but I am having tons of fun as I'm doing this, because I'm having a conversation. The conversation could be with 1, 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 10,000 people, or who knows how many you end up speaking to. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but trust me, when you make that shift in your mind, it's an instant click. It is incredible what it does. It will help you relax so much more when you deliver your message. And you come out more natural as well, because we're all humans in the end. And you would be very surprised to know how forgiving our audiences tend to be, way more than we judge ourselves. So, conversation, not performance. When you think of performance, if I come here and I'm doing a dance, there's a right and wrong way to do it usually. Or if you're singing, don't even get me to singing, I'm not doing that. If you're singing, the same thing. But that only plays against us. You get in your own way. You want to do it perfect. You want to do it the best way. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that in this room. If you're all here, you love doing things the best way possible. But that will play against you when it comes to spontaneous conversations or difficult conversations. So get out of your way and allow yourself to be a bit more spontaneous. Leave room for that. You will be less reactive because you're not thinking just to respond. You want to understand your audience first. And what are we going to do? How many steps are we going to learn?
3.
3, of course. So there's a structure by Professor Matt Abraham, so this whole section I'm very inspired by him, which is we are going to listen, we're going to paraphrase, and we're going to structure. So what is it? Listen, paraphrase, and structure. Yes, we want to listen and not have an immediate answer. And who here, before the person is asking you something, is already thinking, what am I going to respond? Are you that person? Don't be shy. Come on, don't lie. Yeah. I know a lot of you will try and think, what do I say? What am I going to say? We want to be great communicators. And great communicators listen to understand, not to respond. Again, give yourself permission not to have an immediate answer for things. All right? Then what do we want to do? We want to pause. Remember the importance of the pause. We want to pause and paraphrase what the person said. So not only this will give you more thinking time, this will also help you acknowledge the other person. And we all love to feel acknowledged and seen. And maybe, I don't know who doesn't, but I love it. So if I know the person I'm talking to acknowledges me, this feels very good, and you buy yourself time to organize that messy brain right there maybe you're struggling with. So make use of this. And then we want structure. We love structure. If you don't like structure, why are you working in security? I don't know. But we love structure. And even if you're a more spontaneous person or a structured person, having a structure that you're aware of will help you give responses in a better way. Why? That way, you will not be rambling as much. You will get to a point. For structure, there's one proposed in this theory that how many steps does it have? 3, yes, of course. And that is the what, so what, now what. So what is it? What, so what, now what. Okay, the what, very straightforward. So what is it that I'm trying to say? What's the situation? What is the incident? What's going on? Fairly easy. That we normally know how to do well. Then we want to tell the person, why does this matter? So this is the so what. Why is this relevant to me or to the audience in general? And the one that tends to be the most difficult. Okay, so what happens next? You told me what's going on, you told me why this is important. So what's the action? What happens next? And we tend to fail in that part. So because we love putting things into practice, I would like for us to put this into practice now. Before you find your partner, as we've done, I would like for you to pay attention to this situation. So we're going to have a small scenario. You have someone in your company in the C-suite or the board saying, why do we need to implement these controls? We've never had anything serious happen. Sound familiar? Yeah? I bet it does. Yes. So what are you going to do? You need to reflect on it. How do I answer? And I'm only going to give you 30 seconds because this is how it works in real life. For you to try and structure using the what, the so what, now what. Please incorporate as many elements of the previous two modules that we learned. And you will then have 1 minute to share with your partner, and then your partner will share back. So go ahead, this is communicating under pressure. So let's do it. All right, let's wrap it up. Can you find your seats, please? All right, can I get everybody? All right, everybody here. Yes, this is a technique you can also use. Sounds, clap, move. So I couldn't clap, but you can do this and it will help you. So you're being good right now. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not necessarily always the nicest when I'm in the audience. But anyways, so how did you find that? I'd like to hear from one person. What was it the most difficult for you? The what, the so what, or the now what? How was your experience? Anybody feeling brave to share?
The what was the problem.
The what was the problem?
Yeah, because like, what are we even talking about right now?
Okay.
So, yeah. But that'd probably be easier if it was a real conversation.
Yes.
I probably already know, but.
You would probably know.
But then the so what and the now what was easier after we established what I was
really?
supposed to be talking about.
Okay. Okay, good. Anybody else? Now?
I think the now what is harder sometimes, especially in a professional setting, because people want definitive answers, but a now what is not always definitive, right? You take it step by step and see what goes.
Yes, correct. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's something you need to remember. And that's what happens with spontaneous conversations. So I'm going to leave this example response here. I highly recommend we use analogies. Analogies tend to work really well, especially when we talk to leadership. Even if you're a top leader, there will usually be someone that's in a higher position somehow than you, and you need to convince. So analogies are a good way to do this as well. And the more you master your storytelling, the better you will get at doing it at a shorter time, and you can also incorporate it. Now, this is not mandatory, and I didn't want to include it because I didn't want to put bias into you, but people who do sales, they tend to be really good at this, picking up all the cues and doing this. You probably do it intuitively, but if you incorporate the structure, you'll get even better at it. Okay, so basically what did we learn today? We learned how to get people to listen through the physics of presence, using body and voice. We learned how to get people to connect and care through storytelling for influence. And ideally, we learn how to get people to act when we communicate under pressure. And I often get a question of, where did you learn this? Who do you follow? What influences do you have or inspiration? These are some. I have plenty. You have no idea how much time I spend being a nerd. When it comes to communications, even more. I love Ben Guillen, and we learned some of his teachings today. I love Professor Matt Abraham as well. I love Vanessa Van Edwards. I forgot to include her there, but she's really good too, especially for people who tend to be more introverted. She's really good. Carol Kinsey Goldman, she's amazing, PhD, top level executive presence is very strong for her. And the way that Simon Sinek and Brene Brown talk, I love the way they deliver their messages. You just want to listen to them and learn from them. And of course, my own experiences and years of lessons and failures, because the story I shared with you today, oh, trust me, that's not the only one. I've got plenty of stories of failed communications attempts. And so with that, I would like to open to maybe some 2 or 3 questions. I think we have time for that. So how about we start with you ladies?
She wrote it down.
Yes.
So my question is, how do we practice pause and keep your thoughts intact? Because my problem is when I'm asked to speak in a meeting, I have a room, I prepare things up in my mind, and as soon as I go off mute, my only intention is to finish all my thoughts and then go back to mute. And then if I practice pause, I feel that all things that I have prepped in my mind, I just forget it and I lose all my thoughts when I practice more pause, because sometimes I've got feedback that I speak too fast and many people will not understand what I'm speaking. So how do you practice that?
I understand, because I personally had to work a lot on the pause. I have a million thoughts in my mind. But that can not only affect your thought process, it also hinders the way you come across. So I suggest you start getting used to the pause, as everything is a practice. You don't necessarily have to do it immediately in your meetings, but you can do it in other environments, as I said, safer environments. Also, when you're going to give an answer, think of the structure before you start articulating your answer. And so you want to get to a point. There are other ways, not only the what, so what, now what. There's plenty of structures. One you could use is find the one point you're trying to make, and that will help you stay in that, and you can deliver it and pause. The 2 main things, the 3 steps. So find what technique works for you and start practicing it. And because you mentioned that you do this online, you have a bigger advantage. How about you start recording yourself? You can do just the audio, but I would take it to a whole new level of also recording you as in a video, and then listen to your recording. Listen it, if you do it with the video, listen to it without seeing yourself. Then watch it without voice. And then you want to transcribe what it says, and AI will do that for you. You can run an analysis to see where you can improve. Trust me, if you do this, it's a self-assessment. You write down what I need to work on and improve. And then you make a weekly plan of one thing to focus at a time to improve. Trust me, that pause will get better. But not only the pause, your delivery in general. I took one more question.
I have one, but it's not the one you think I'm gonna ask. It's a different one.
Okay, how do you know what I think you're going to ask?
So I work for a Japanese company, right? Great culture, etc. But imagine being in a crowd with arms folded, and I'm sure you've dealt with that. I would love to hear your guidance on how you deal with a difficult audience. You're getting us engaged, right? I mean, yes, it was after lunch, but you've got us all engaged, but we're all not sitting there with arms folded. How do you deal with that? What's good guidance?
That is a very, very good question. And I personally have had to deal with it. I'm Latina. I'm naturally very expressive. And when I had to deal with Slavic culture, for example, where it's quite the opposite, you want to go and meet your audience where they're at. So if they're like this, and it's a more closed body language, I don't go there and like, I'm gonna dance the waka waka. Like, what the heck? It might work in a more informal setting, definitely not in the workplace. So you have to go meet the audience where they're at. But you will slowly bring them to where you want them to be. Now, this is not just magic that you do. That's why you start learning all of these different things for you to get there. So meet them where they're at. They have a closed body language. I'm not saying you go and be close, but then you want to be less intense. You want to be more subtle. Because you already know how your audience is. In this case, you describe Asian culture, for example. Go do some research. I'm sure if you're going to meet a client, if you know ahead of time how their culture is, what are their habits, you can go and see what kind of things will be more relatable to them. That will help you a lot. That is what I would normally do. And then on the spot, because I've developed this skill, you can read the room and try and find a way where there's something to relate to them. Be genuinely curious. So that also helps. Somehow there will be a question you can ask that will get them to start talking about whatever thing. But you need to be genuinely curious, because if you're not, people will tell this is fake, you're just trying to force the conversation, and that feels really off. But when you ask out of genuine curiosity, trust me, it will open doors. Thank you for the questions. I'm not done yet. You're not getting rid of me yet. I want to leave a final reflection with you. When I look at this room, I see a lot of current, but also future great leaders. And I see founders, I see people who own their businesses, maybe executives here. Maybe the one thing that's standing between where you are right now and where you want to be is not more expertise. It's just finding that voice you have. So how about you stop playing small and hide and are a diamond but that's not shining. Just go out there and shine for real. There's something I learned that day at that terminal, is that expertise alone was not enough for me. I was capable of so much more. And so are all of you here. So go out there and shine. Use your voice, tell your story, and make it land. So make a difference. Thank you so much. You don't get to go yet. No, so, okay, you can connect if you want to connect with me. Here's my LinkedIn info for the more professional side of Karen. And then my life outside security on my Instagram account. I have this tradition. I have to take a selfie with my audience. You've been an amazing audience today. And I want your best energy. If I can get a selfie, that would be amazing. So Tim has kindly helped me to get a phone. So I'll do one shot maybe on this side. Can you give me your best? Woo! All right. And let me do one on this side. Tim, you're a rock star. How about I take this to the next level, actually? I want to do a little dance video with you all. With the waka waka as the rock star. Come on. Waka waka, nah.